Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time my opponent chose to play as the Dwarfs, so for this quick battle I will command the Empire. And I brought our Dwarf stomping build that you've seen before. 4 swordsmen, 3 great swords, 2 Empire Knights, 1 Sunmaker, 1 Empire Captain, and 1 General of the Empire. In previous videos, this build has done extremely well against the Dwarfs, and I feel very confident when I bring it. My opponent brought 1 gyrocopter with brimstone guns, 4 dwarf warriors with great weapons, 3 dwarf warriors, 2 longbeards that he has deployed on the flanks, 3 quarrelers in the center. He has 1 cannon, 1 runesmith, a thane, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer. So right here from the out of the gate, his cannon is a concern, but I don't think it has as much potential as the Sunmaker as far as dealing damage. So I'm just going to fire away with the Sunmaker and see if we can't make him come to us, which is always uncomfortable for dwarves. And again, with them being so well clustered up, the inaccuracy of the Sunmaker is a non-issue because it's just spreading that love around. I think they should call it the Rainmaker because, man, that thing makes it rain. So just going to keep putting it on him here and wait and see how he reacts. And he does start to move forward. He also brings his gyrocopter up. And I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to try to do, and that is to come after the Sunmaker. Obviously, it's the biggest threat to him right now. But that's why I've kept my handgunners next to it, and these guys are absolutely devastating to gyrocopters because of their armor-piercing rounds. I also start bringing over my flying contingent just to discourage him any way I can. He takes pause at just the wrong time because he's in range, and I keep shooting him down. Meanwhile, the Sunmaker continues to bring pain to the dwarfs. And now he commits to coming in, so I commit both of my handgunners and both my flyers to taking care of him. He's going to get a nice bombing run off here. It's going to do some damage, but ultimately the gyrocopters are going to get owned by the handgunners and my flyers, and boom, mayday, dwarf down. So with that having been taken care of, I feel the Sunmaker is pretty safe. But I'm going to keep my handgunners here in the center because they discourage anybody from trying to come through this way. The center is where I want to be strong, and so I just continue firing with the Sunmaker, which has done a ton of damage to a lot of his units. I mean, if you just look at the red bar, these guys have really taken a pounding from the Sunmaker. His cannon right now is firing at handgunners, but again, it's not very effective against infantry. Range units like that. It's really meant for taking out large. So now I'm in the range of his quarrelers, so I'm going to charge with my infantry. So all of our swordsmen and great swords are all along the line here are going to be coming right after him. And I also swung up my cav onto the flanks so that they'll be ready to follow up with the charge. And I'm bringing in my flyers to attack his quarrelers just as quickly as possible to make sure we minimize the amount of time they get to fire on my troops. So you're going to see that come in. There's the flyers. He's going to commit his rear infantry to dealing with that. Here comes my cavalry on this flank. At the same time it came in on the other. They're going to get hit by the great swords and by the Empire Knights simultaneously. So the longbeards are going to take a decent bit of charge damage there. And these guys are going to stick there for just a bit, and then we're going to focus them on the center. Because the guy you have to get rid of when you're fighting the dwarfs is this guy right here, the runesmith. He can do so much to make them more viable. And you're going to see his quarrelers successfully routed a handgunner. The other one they had scared off, but it's coming back. Over here, the General of the Empire has made his move on the runesmith, as have these great swords and the Empire Knights that just passed through. Really trying to focus down that runesmith because of how dangerous he is. As you can see, he's taking a good bit of damage in a short period of time, and I use my potion and pull out the General of the Empire. Don't want him to run in the middle of using a potion, because you don't get the effectiveness from it. Out here on the flank, his Longbeards are doing their best to hang in there, but the swordsmen and the great swords have a pretty good surround on them. I've got my guns firing at any holes in his lines. His runesmith is now down to about a third of his life, so that's looking good for me. Some of his infantry and whatnot are retreating. I've been using the General of the Empire for his fear and terror, going up and down the line to scare his guys off. Looks like this handgunner returned, so I pull it up to start shooting at any targets of opportunity. And you'll notice I've ignored his cannon because, quite frankly, it's just, you know, not being very effective, especially with our armies engaged and in close proximity. He's likely to kill as many of his guys as mine. The runesmith is on his last leg. He's going to try to make a run for it, but he's pretty well enveloped here. Thorgrim's going to crash in just as the runesmith dies. In comes Thorgrim, so we're going to quickly retarget these men to try to take down Thorgrim. You're going to see he takes a pretty mean spike of damage there right out the gate. He's definitely a tough guy, but he's dealing with a lot of power here. And we're also going to bring the General of the Empire over. He's going to flap his wings and splatter dwarfs everywhere and try to spike down Thorgrim. Thorgrim's health is extremely low. On the rest of the field, he doesn't have a whole lot that's still fighting, and those that are very low on life. So I'm pretty certain if I break Thorgrim, I break his army, and there goes Thorgrim. He doesn't want anymore, and there goes the victory. Close victory for the Empire. Close according to the computer. I'm not so sure it was. If you look at the health of my men, the only ones that are beat up are my cav, really. Otherwise, I think these guys could have had another fight with the Dwarfs if we got more ammo anyways. But let's look at the tail of the tape. The great swords were fantastic, and they generally are. They're a great unit, and the heavy armored Dwarfs really suffer to these guys. The swordsmen did well, handgunners did well, and played their role. The cav was a little underwhelming, but I wasn't as focused on that, so I'm okay with that. The Sunmaker just wrecked. 112 kills, and God knows how much damage. Just obliterated them. The General of the Empire and the Empire Captain did well. Looking at my opponent's army, two things jump out at me. One is the Longbeards did well, very well, compared to Dwarf Warriors and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. The other thing is that the cannon did get 44 kills, but ultimately I don't think it was worth it. So what would I say, you know, besides good game, what would I say to my opponent as far as his opportunity to improve? One is generally gyrocopters do not do well against the Empire. They tend to almost always have flying and ranged, both of which are the bane of the gyrocopter. I would go with the Quarrelers I'm okay with. I almost think Thunders would be better. And I would go heavy on the Longbeards. And after seeing how the Dwarf Warriors and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons did, I'd probably stay away from them. They're just not cost effective in this engagement. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Until the next time, this is the Magnus. Thanks, and take care.